Hello, everybody. Welcome back to CMMC Con. I'm very happy to be here today. This kicks off our whole focus on small business and CMMC DFARS compliance. We have with us today something that I think is going to be a very special session, and I hope it'll be a session that will live forever at CMMC Con going forward. We have Jody, Frank, and Thomas that come from various PTAC organizations throughout the country. Iowa, we have Utah and Pennsylvania represented that will be giving us a whole discussion about what the PTAC organization is, what resources they can help provide, especially small businesses, and how to think about cybersecurity funding and events as the government requirements continue to increase. And moreover, to just become aware of what a wonderful set of resources are out there for that. After this session, that you can go and get a whole bunch of questions that you'll probably have after this session, and there'll be live questions and answers. Jody, thanks for joining us today, Frank, Jody, and Thomas. Jody, on over to you.
All right, thanks. We really appreciate you inviting us to be a part of this awesome event. It's an ever-growing topic that we're hearing from small businesses all over the place. So we're very happy to be here, and thank you. Let's go ahead and get into the slides. So we are here representing Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. So I'm going to introduce the three of us briefly, and then we're going to get into kind of some panel discussions and talk about, what we're seeing from a small business perspective, how our organization can help small businesses, and hopefully get some questions answered for you. So our first panelist today is Frank Mignecco. He is a government procurement program manager with the Northeastern Pennsylvania Alliance in Pennsylvania. I also have with us Tom Gerke. He's from the Utah PTAC. And then we have myself. I am the program director for the Iowa PTAC located at Iowa State University. So you keep hearing us use this term PTAC. What is a PTAC? PTAC stands for Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And we are a program that is in the regulations to help small businesses navigate government contracting. We are currently funded through the Department of Defense and also through many local state governments to help small businesses. What we do is provide no-cost assistance to large and small businesses both, and help companies do pretty much whatever we can help them do to get government contracts and understand the government contracting process. We do one-on-one counseling, training, education, and networking events. You can see on the map that I believe there's currently about 95 PTAC centers throughout the country. Some centers are a statewide center and they represent the entire state. Other PTACs are more locally focused, and they might just represent a handful of counties. And then we also have a handful of Native American and tribal PTACs that can assist tribal governments with government contracting. I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we work with businesses. Typically, we work with them on getting through the entire process of government contracting. Now, that's whether you're just starting out, we can help you understand the regulations and the certifications that a business would have to go through, what socioeconomic programs through the Small Business Administration would you qualify for, and how do you go about getting certified for those types of things. So that's a main part of what we do. Also, marketing to the government. It's really important when you're getting started in government contracting to know which government agencies are buying what you're selling, because the government is huge. And so you literally can't target everybody. So we can kind of help you understand who you might want to focus on and how do you go about talking to those agencies? What do you say? Who do you talk to? How do you even approach those agencies? We also help with finding opportunities. And then once you find an opportunity that oftentimes will require a bid or proposal. So we can help you understand that and interpret everything that you need to do to submit a compliant proposal. Anything from there is also post-award assistance. The government has many systems that businesses need to navigate as far as their invoicing system. How do you get registered in that to get paid? We also can assist with more advanced things like teaming, mentor-protege agreements, GSA schedules, and things like that. So that's kind of our counseling services. Another large part of what PTACs do is events and training. Many PTACs will host and put together different matchmaking events so that businesses can connect with each other to go after different government opportunities. Meet the buyers events where maybe we'll bring in either federal agencies or state and local purchasing folks so that small businesses and large businesses can actually connect and meet with them so they can go after more opportunities. And then PTACs host a variety of training topics on almost every topic imaginable as it relates to government contracting. The third thing, most PTACs will offer some sort of a bid matching service. I know this slide is a little bit hard to read, but finding and scouring all the different government websites to find bid opportunities can be very time consuming. There are systems out there that can search for these opportunities, but many PTACs might offer them for free or for a very nominal charge for you to get a once daily email to find opportunities. So you can see that in this example, it'll just say what the bid opportunity is and what agency it's with, and it'll kind of help you click back and find that. So that's another service that is offered by most PTACs. So I want to now get into our discussion panel and just address some questions that we as PTACs hear pretty often from businesses and address some misconceptions and things that are confusing for small businesses. So the first question that I have for my colleagues here is, how do PTACs assist with cybersecurity? Tom, why don't you start with this one?
Well, PTACs are not normally technical experts, so what we are able to do is help you through the management process, how to manage implementing a cybersecurity program. One of the things we want to start with to really emphasize is that you need to select somebody within your company to drive the effort, and not normally a IT person, but somebody like a program manager or a C-level officer that can drive the program and manage the process. And then the first thing you need to do is review the NIST Handbook 162, and it's got a checklist in there after you, as part of the guide, that'll help you accomplish a gap analysis. And from there, you can see that what you need to do to become compliant with NIST 800-171. A couple other things you're going to have to do, and we can help you with templates and help you answer some of the management questions, is a system security plan, a POA&M, which I can never remember what the acronym is, but I think program objectives and milestones.
Yeah, plan of action and milestones, I believe.
It sets the timeline for what you need to do. And then you have to upload your answers into supplier performance risk system, and that is a good start to getting prepared for CMMC compliance when it comes down the road.
Yeah. Frank, when you have clients come to you, how does your PTAC normally work with them?
Well, Jody, it's a good question, and very similar to what Thomas does. We take a look at what space are they in the industry that they're dominant in, and then how does that translate to the federal space and the requirements with cybersecurity. So we would take that level of action with them and then see what their present state is, help them with training and education, as you mentioned earlier. As Thomas was mentioning, we're a resource. We can help them with accessing the right tutorials, accessing the right templates, and helping them do that deeper dive to help understand what that need is to be compliant.
Thank you.
Let me just add that clients, what we'll look at is how urgent, what's the urgency in your compliance with CMMC or NIST 800-171? And it could be as simple as clients have received letters of compliance from their primes, and then you have to look at what that letter says and what the primes require and how you're going to meet the primes requirements. Then we look at clients who have their highest level of work with the DoD, and that where the DoD represents a majority of their client base. And then you have to determine if the kind of work you do with the DoD is going to include FCI or CUI. And then there's going to be those clients who already have the DFARS clauses in one or more contracts who require compliance with NIST 800-171. So, we can help you try and figure out where you stand there.
Yeah, I think that leads nicely into our next question, which is, how do I know what I need to comply with? And I know at our PTAC, that's a really common question that we get. Someone will bring a contract to me, or they're hearing cybersecurity everywhere, but they're hearing CMMC, they're hearing NIST, and I think a lot of businesses get really confused on what it is that they need to comply with. So that's one role that the PTAC can play really well. Is we'll look at your current contract and help you interpret, okay, what cybersecurity clauses are actually in there. Sometimes if you have a COTS item and you're like, I don't know if I need to comply, everyone's saying that I do. We can help you understand, this is a civilian agency. You only need to comply with the basic FAR, or you have a commercial off-the-shelf item, a COTS item. So in fact, none of this really applies to you. So I just think helping businesses understand what they need to comply with. Are they going to have CUI or FCI? So Frank, I'm going to start with you on this one. How does your PTAC handle businesses and helping them understand what they need to comply with?
What we do is we try to figure out, what do they need to comply with? Is it a new solicitation that they want to compete against? Is it existing contract, as you mentioned, and what are the terms and conditions in there? Or are they part of the supply chain with a prime? So we help them identify where they are in that cybersecurity need, and then try to focus in with them how they're going to have to go through the steps to be compliant with either their current contract, acquiring a new contract, or helping the supply chain that they're in with their prime.
Tom, do you have anything to add here?
No, I think that pretty well covers it. It's normally, it's a case-by-case basis. So we have to look at what your company's doing or what you intend to do with the federal government.
So I think we can all probably answer this one. What are some of the biggest challenges when you start working with a small business who comes to a PTAC? What are you guys mostly seeing? What challenges are they having? Tom, I'll start with you this time.
Well, normally the main challenge is whether or not the cybersecurity requirements apply to their particular company. And that all depends on what they're doing with the federal government. It's hard to say, because you could be, providing landscaping services to a military installation, and there may be no FCI or CUI requirements, or you could be supplementing the medical staff, and in some cases, a deployment might cause an increase in the medical staff you're providing to a military base. In that case, that could be considered CUI. So, you have to look for the requirement in your contract, and then you also have to look for the definition of CUI if it's in your contract.
Yeah, Frank?
Well, I think I have to agree with my compatriots here in the cybersecurity PTAC crime world. It all depends on where you are, what your focus is, and what's your current state when it comes to cybersecurity and hygiene, not just on your technology, but on your whole facility for security. And then from there, what do you need to comply? Where do you fit in the levels? And then dig in. This is what I need. And those, I think, are the big challenges. Understanding what the process is, where do I fit in the process? And more importantly, with our smalls, how do I find the time to do this? And where do I find the funds to help me achieve success? I think those are the challenges we see up in this region.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's,
if you hit, oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, I think that's one of the challenges that most small businesses raise when it comes to compliance is how much is it going to cost me? And, it's a business decision. Cybersecurity compliance is a subset of data protection. I mean, it's the same kind of thing where you wouldn't give somebody your checking account information. You wouldn't give them your PIN number. Are you gonna leave your sensitive data out on the internet, in the cloud somewhere, or access to your computer terminal without protecting it? It's a cost of doing business, and a lot of those costs you should have already paid for as a small business. At least that's what the DoD assumes.
Yeah. I think the challenge that I'm seeing, when I talk to a business, we've really been trying to, PTACs have really been pushed to get the CMMC message out and to raise alarm bells and really help businesses understand that this is a go, no go requirement when it does come out. A lot of the people within an organization that we're talking to might be the salespeople. We're helping them try to find and go after government contracts. So I think the challenge is trying to get the top level, the C-level people within an organization to know that this effort really needs to come from the top down. A lot of times we're getting the message to, some areas of a business, but really it's not just an IT function. And I think that's a huge misconception, is that you can't just, throw this on your IT person and say, hey, make us compliant with this. It's processes, it's procedures, it's policies within the company. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges I'm seeing, is just people understanding that it's not just an IT function.
A lot of our manufacturing companies have an understanding of ISO compliance and the ISO standards that they try to meet as a manufacturing organization. And that's how this is. Cybersecurity and the cybersecurity requirements are very similar to what you have to do for ISO certification. Yeah.
So what are some no-cost resources? I know Frank just mentioned that, the cost that it's going to take small businesses to get compliant is an issue. So, what exists out there to help businesses get to where they need to be? Frank, I'll let you go.
Well, I got to say PTACs, right? Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. I think we're a no-cost resource. We're not going to do the work, but we're going to help as an educator, build awareness, help be part of that team to become compliant. So I think we're a valuable resource. And as you can see here, Idaho, Utah, Pennsylvania, we connect across the United States. And Thomas is a good subject matter expert on cybersecurity from his background. So if I don't know it, I can call Thomas. Internally in our regions, we're plugged in with the industrial resource centers, the other economic partners. So I think as a PTAC up here in PA, we would come to the table as a dynamite resource that's out there. And if we don't know it, we can help find it. As long as it's in the government contracting realm of things, we can dive in and be a valuable resource at no cost. But we're very finite with our resource capability. We're small, lean machines. So we'll be there to help. And then, I don't know, Thomas, Jody, what do you guys think of other resources besides the PTAC? I got to post the PTACs, but what else do you think?
Oh, several of our PTACs have put together checklists for implementing NIST 800-171, the process. Robert Marraro has put together one that he shared. There's a couple other PTACs that have checklists. Then, of course, you can go out, and Jody, you're probably going to say this, we go out to Project Spectrum IO, and they have checklists, and they have overview webinars that you can look at. Your PTACs can access, at least ours can, Gavology classes, and there are some out there on implementing cybersecurity programs. And those are free resources. And if you just Google CMMC, I'll bet you the first 10 things that come up will offer you a free checklist.
Yeah, Tom, you kind of brushed over something big. Tom mentioned a site called projectspectrum.io. This is an organization that was contracted with the Department of Defense to provide education and resources to businesses that are trying to self-implement cybersecurity. They do have a lot of training videos. They have blogs. They have people that you can ask questions to. So that is a really great resource for small businesses that are, trying to get educated and connect with people as well. And funded and put together by the Department of Defense just to help small businesses with this effort. The other resource that I know of is our manufacturing extension program. So they're called MEP Centers. I think almost every state has an MEP center as well. They focus working just with manufacturers for the most part. And sometimes they'll do, they might get more into the technical details with assisting you. I know our MEP does, they'll do projects with manufacturers to really help walk you through each of the controls in place for cybersecurity. Some of the MEPs might have a small fee to do projects of that nature. But if you're in the manufacturing space, I would highly recommend connecting with your MEP center as well. One of our second to last question that we have here is there funding available to assist businesses with compliance and implementing this? Do either of you know if funding?
I think we might have discussed this a little bit, but there might be some state resources through the small business development centers or the business resource centers if you have one. PTACs don't have any access to grant money.
I know in our state, in Iowa, and every state's probably different, but we have an economic development technology grant that our state is allowing businesses to apply for to assist with implementing this. So other states might have something similar as well. Frank, do you know of anything in your area?
That's one of the things I wish I had at least one or two things on a list, but unfortunately I'm not aware of any funding, but I'm very hopeful. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of money flowing shortly from the Capitol, Build Back America, so maybe there might be some opportunities. I think if cybersecurity blooms outside of the Department of Defense, and there's activity in the other agencies, maybe there could be some funding. But at this point, I'm not aware of anything on the federal or the Pennsylvania state level that help.
What have we heard about reimbursement of costs for implementing? I know I've sat in, I think all of us have sat in a lot of CMMC, and there's been talk of some of these charges being allowable reimbursement costs, but I don't know that if we've heard anything definitive. Tom, can you talk about what you've heard as far as that goes?
I don't think I know anything about that.
Yeah, I know. We've heard. Yeah, we don't, as PTACs, we're pretty aware of what's going on and what's available to businesses. That's one of our primary roles, and we have not heard anything definitive. Thought I would throw that out there.
Yeah, I can tell you that there was a Senate hearing, and I think Senator Munchin from Virginia raised a concern with the DOD person that was presenting about the cost of small businesses and the impact on small businesses. My personal opinion is that you can't really negate the cybersecurity requirements just because a company's small. I mean, if it's a cybersecurity requirement, it's across the board. But having said that, with the recognition at the legislative level of the cost to small businesses, there may be some sort of relief coming down the road.
I think the important thing is, though, when you look at what's out there when it comes to CMC and what happens if a company can't afford it or what's the cost, it's one of those play or you don't play type of things. If a contract comes out and there's a requirement for CMMC compliance, you have to have that certification. Look at all the contracts. They might have a NIST requirement that Tom was talking about. You have to be in compliant. Before you can basically say, yeah, I'm in compliant, today you have to demonstrate.
It's no different really than a manufacturer having to meet an ISO 9000 standard for making aircraft parts. So
very good analogy. Yep.
Yeah. And one thing that I've been talking to my businesses about is, if they're a smaller business and they're trying to get compliant with cybersecurity, I've been saying, let's look at the mentor protege program. Is there a business that is compliant that would be willing to be a mentor? And then you can write as part of your mentor protege agreement that's one thing that they assist your small business with, is getting compliant there. So I think that might be an untapped avenue to help small businesses as well, but nothing proven there quite yet.
If a small business is in the supply chain and they're a sub to a prime, I don't see why you can't have a conversation with your prime to see what support, if any, they could provide for you to become in compliance. It's a question to ask. What do you think, Tom?
This is kind of getting down in the weeds, but a prime could extend their enclave to a subcontractor, and a subcontractor wouldn't have to qualify their own system. But we can discuss that in depth in the breakout session if somebody wants to.
Yep. All right. I'm going to move to our final question. Hopefully it's short and sweet, but maybe one or two answers. If you're a small business wanting to get started, where should you start?
Call your PTAC.
Well, and read the NIST. And read the NIST 800-171 guide and start getting familiar. Yeah,
check out the Project Spectrum website that Jody mentioned. There's good tutorials, information there. A lot of the contractors that are hoping to assist small businesses, I think someone mentioned, you Google it, you'll find a lot of checklists and information. And then PTACs, we can definitely assist you. I think that's why we're here, to let you folks know we exist.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's all we have for questions in our panel today. I want to turn it back over to Carl.
Great. What a great conversation you guys had. I learned a lot. I'm often amazed at how many resources are out there that people are not aware of and don't know where to turn. And I just think that this sage advice, this understanding hand, and this charter that you have to be able to help companies is amazing. Not only that you'll be able to help them with the process and with finances. I really appreciate the time, the effort, the energy, and I look forward to the question and answer session. And I look forward to actually growing what you do and how you do it. So thank you very much for your warm contribution of your time and your talent and for what you do out there. Have a great day, guys. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of CMMC Con.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Bye-bye now.
Bye.